Hello and welcome to the fourth round of the SRP Top Step V8 Championship. We're live today from Sandown in Australia. My name is Robert Wiesenmüller, and with me here today is Mike Bell.
Yep, hello. Hopefully we'll see another great race here as we have all season.
Yep, and it's actually the first Australian race in this championship. Before we've been to Japan with Fuji, where we had an endurance round. And then we've had two races in New Zealand, or rather two rounds with two races each. First at the Ruapuna track, where Jesper Torborg took a double win. And then, 2 weeks ago, at Manfield, where Eric Strane took a double win. And now we're here for one endurance round at Sandown. A very short circuit, a very quick circuit. Also quite bumpy and a bit dangerous when you try to push too hard. So this should be really exciting. Mike, why don't you take us through the championship standings?
Yep. Unfortunately, due to some things that have happened this week, we don't actually have any fancy pictures to show you, but what we can tell you is that Eric Strane is currently leading the championship, 46 points ahead of Jesper Torborg in second, then Rasmus Salo third, Rob Taplin in fourth, Eric de Veit fifth, Gary Lennon sixth, Anders Nilsson seventh, John Monroe eighth, Adrian Holm ninth, and yourself, Robert, in 10th.
Yeah, 46 points, Eric Strane. That sounds like a really big lead. However, he's not actually racing today, and this opens up the gap. This opens the opportunity for the other drivers. Most importantly, Jesper Torborg, of course, who ironically drives in the car that Eric Strane has been driving the whole season. The ice cold racing car, the grey, black and white machine. Currently on the practice server in first position, so starting off strong, Jesper Torborg. Yeah, Strane unfortunately can't make it today. That's bad for him, but that's good for the championship, because for a win, we can gain 50 points here today. So Jesper could even take the lead of the championship.
I think Jesper's the only person who can leave today leading the championship, other than, of course, Eric Strane, because third place Rasmus Salo, who's also not here today, is too far back. Take the lead this round. He was here, so there's obviously going to be a battle for first and probably a change for third as well.
Yeah, and even though some drivers are missing today, that certainly does not mean that the quality of the grid got worse. Because, for example, Adrian Holm has come back. He's currently in second place, driving the Sharkskins car in this event, and he certainly looks to be on the pace. Yep. Very close to Torborg's times at the moment. Adrian, of course, he drove already in the second round of the championship at Ruapuna, and he did an excellent race, especially in the first race, where he tried to do a race with no pit stop, and he was leading until the second to last. And then Jesper Torborg got him, so I think we can expect a lot from Adrian Holm. Also, William de Vec will return to the championship, the driver from the Magenta Warriors team. The practice session, and we don't only have new drivers, we also have some old drivers that have come back, but they're certainly stepping up their pace. For example, we see Lewis Travis currently sitting in fourth position, the walk racing driver, who had a pretty troubled season so far. Quite a few incidents in the beginning of the races, so we can only hope that this event goes a lot better for him, because he certainly has the pace. Also, Harley Hamlet in 5th place, Wild Power Racing driver, hasn't had the best results in the season. I think he got a top 10 in the last round, but not so much more, and he's looking strong on this track.
Yeah, also Harley's teammate, Oscar Hardwick, who is currently sitting third in this practice session. Don't believe he's out on track though, but he's returning after missing the round at Manfield, and that in third position in the times currently is quite impressive, although there is a bit of a gap between Jesper Torborg and Adrian Holm, who are first and second, down to the rest of the field effectively, as they're both under the 107 banner, and everyone else is at 107.2 or higher currently. But obviously this is pre-practice, we don't really know how much fuel and on what tyres those laps were set, whether they were new tyres, old tyres, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Jesper Torborg. Alright, I just heard from the guy who's doing the cameras that we will swap to Harley Hamlet for this moment to do one lap. Oh, and he almost loses it. We're now in the chicane. Have to take a lot of curb here. That's a little bit too much from Harley. And he's abandoned the lap, unfortunately. Let's see if we can get someone where we can
Well,
follow
Lewis
for
Travis
one
was
lap.
right behind him. He's currently 4th in the session, as you said before, but picks up just where Harley left off, coming down this long back straight with the kink in it. That makes up Sector 2. It's really just from one end of the straight till the other. And then
Now we're coming up to the most difficult corner. That
Yeah,
corner is
the
really
mo-
difficult.
most dangerous corner on this track, I think.
You see downhill with the chicane in 4th gear, high speed, and then a hard braking zone into 2nd. It's a little bit wide here, but this corner is really tricky. Now we come to the final chicane. First the right-hander, which is still relatively quick, and then quite a slow left-hander. Back on the straight, try to get the power down early. Now we cross the finish line and we'll just stay with them for the beginning of the next lap, because we couldn't really catch it before. Because the first corner is also, it looks like a simple left-hander 90-degree corner, but it's actually quite tricky, because when you run wide on the exit, you can go over the curb and then you catch a little bit of the gravel trap. Then you also have to position your car for this corner. Oh, he also goes a bit wide, but doesn't take as much grass as Harley did. All fine now. We're back on the straight. So yeah, looking at the times here, only 2 drivers in the 106s so far. That's Jesper Torvald and Adrian Holm, but it's still looking pretty close. We've got 11 drivers actually in 1 second, and I'm sure when you come to qualifying, the times will drop even further.
Yeah, certainly, because obviously we'd imagine that the 106s, they would be on quali fuel, but we don't know anywhere. Like the mid-7s is definitely, race pace caliber laps. So maybe the people there, such as Danny Asbury, Rob Taplin, Ryan Walker, newcomer Kevin Siggy, they may move up a bit higher in the qualifying session.
Yeah, of course.
That qualifying session will be in another 30 seconds.
Most drivers are in the pit lane at the moment, trying to catch a little break before they go into the qualifying session, which will be 15 minutes long. And maybe qualifying is not that important for this race, because it's only one race, only one long race, it's 65 laps. So you have plenty of time to make up the positions if you have a bad qualifying. But on the other hand, on this track, rather tricky to pass. So I'm still really sure that everyone will try to do their best in the qualifying session, and of course it's always easier when you start on the pole position.
Yeah, you only have to focus on what's behind you rather than anyone in front. But as you were saying, difficult track to overtake this. We could potentially see people have their races compromised by drivers on different strategies. Because obviously the preferred strategy for most drivers is a 2-stop around here, but some people I know are going for the 1-stop strategy. So if a 2-stopper gets stuck behind a 1-stopper, that could potentially slow their race time down as we do move into the qualifying session now.
Another thing that will be really important here will be lapping people, because the lap times are just 1 minute 6. And even though most of the drivers in the field are really, really competitive, we will have a little bit of a field spread. And it's such a short track and such a long race, we will of course see cars getting lapped. And it will be important that you don't cause an incident during, during the overtaking maneuver, but also that you don't lose so much time when you're lapping someone. That should be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I know yourself and me, Rob, we've raced at this track a couple of times, and in these V8s and in other cars, and I know personally I've had races ruined by back markers, and we proved how hard overtaking can be when Rob, who's much faster than me, got a worse start, and we had a nice little battle for a while, and then he just pulled away and decided to be boring. But
it's certainly a very enjoyable track though to race.
It is. But we're going to start seeing people start their laps now. It's such a short time that William Levesque, who was the first guy to leave the pits, is just in the final corner in the Magenta Warriors car. Finished practice in 6th. He's going to be looking for definitely a front 2 rows in qualifying. So let's see how he goes on the run into turn 1.
William Levesque, of course, a driver with lots of experience on iRacing, has just come back to R-Factor for this league. So he was adapting pretty well in his first event at Ropuna. Oh, he runs wide here. That's the lap ruined already.
I wouldn't
That's
say
a shame.
ruined. He seemed to carry alright momentum out. Obviously, he's going to have dropped a couple of tenths, but we'll see how the rest of the lap plays out.
What you will see with Levesque is that he has a very specific driving style. The car looks like he's constantly in motion and sliding, and he's controlling these slides as well. Very well. Levesque is also one of the guys who's driving with a rather complicated technique, because I would assume a large part of the grid they are using the right foot for the throttle and the left foot for the brake, and they pretty much ignored clutch. William Levesque does it a completely different way, and he's actually heel and toeing for the downshifts and the braking, and yeah, this technique certainly works, as he was in 6th place in the practice session. It's a 108 flat. Puts him first provisionally, but...
Tolborg not very far behind on track is a ways up. Yep, 2 tenths. There's a 107.1, which was actually 2 tenths up on Oscar Hardwick's time, who had set the provisional pole after Levesque.
We'll see Adrian Holm now starting this lap though, currently in 7th position. And now dropping back down the order because everyone, of course, is setting the times. And he was the 2nd fastest guy in practice. And also when this track was run in a different community, he actually won the race here in these exact same cars. He gets a little bit held up by Anderson here. That's a shame because it will definitely ruin his lap. He needs another attempt.
Well, Holm's going to have if he hadn't been held up, he's going to have a decent marker in Danny Asbury just in front, who is under a tenth behind Tolborg after Sector 2. So Danny looking to improve and get himself back towards the front like at Manfield. And hopefully I know he's aiming for a double podium to be leaving here with. Actually, no,
a double
he's not.
Podium.
He's hoping for 1 podium. I'm still thinking we're doing sprint races.
I think, a double podium, that even Danny Asbury can't pull that off here today. He's crossing the line, and that was a really decent lap. 107.2.
Currently.
Oh, still fastest at the moment.
Ooh, Lewis Travis is up on Tolborg coming out the final turn. He is currently, well, he moves into 2nd, lost a bit of time in the final sector, as Ockercliffe hits the wall in front of him, so that would have scared Travis a little bit, but hopefully he won't be phased and go on to try and beat that time again.
Lewis Travis certainly one of the guys who's been improving a lot over the season, the walk racing driver. Didn't have the most luck so far, but hopefully this can change here.
Yep. Danny Asbury, returning to him, he's 2 tenths nearly up on Jesper Tolborg after Sector 2. He's got Arkais Rettis in front, who gave him a draft all the way down the back straight, so hopefully that little mistake won't have cost Danny too much time.
I think it unfortunately ruined his chances of setting pole on this lap. Didn't really get held up by Arkais, but he also overshot the corner. This is still a really good time, but I doubt it will be pole.
Yeah, he lost time. Janko Glavak has just moved up. Holm takes pole provisionally.
Adrian Holm.
Sharkskins.
Great lap from him. Still in the 107s, we haven't seen anyone in the 106s in this session. But judging from practice, at least Holm and Toro can do it.
Yep, I'm sure a couple of others could as well, because there was a lot of 1 minute 7.0s being set in the couple of weeks leading up to this event. Rob Taplin's improving, but he's in 10th only.
Well, Adrian Holm is even quicker on this lap now. Following Rettis now as well. Lost a little bit in the 2nd sector, but it's still looking pretty strong. As Rettis ahead of him goes off into the wall. Looks like a very decent lap from Adrian Holm so far. Always looks so smooth when he's driving.
Further back, Harley Hamlet's up on pole, but we'll stick with Holm to see if he improves. Coming out the final turn.
It doesn't improve, almost the same lap time. How quickly to Harley Hamlet.
Hamlet coming out the final turn, he had a bit of a messy final corner.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of time. He's still in the top 10 at the moment, so not too bad.
Quite good considering Harley started out, just on the fringes of the top 15, and he definitely improved over the
William the back just moved up to 6th place.
Again.
Adrian Holm really seems like he wants to take this pole position so bad. Oh, the back in a little incident with Ron Squire, one of the new drivers in this field.
Holm
It's a
was
shame. He
down
definitely
after
has enough
sector
time to try again. Still over 8 minutes left in this session. Plenty of time to set a decent lap.
Fran Lopez is up on his time, but not by much. He's a long way down on Holm though. So we should see him improve, but maybe not to the top of the field like he'd hoped to be. Gary Lennon also up on his time. Adrian Holm improves again. That's a 1:06 for you. But Hamnet very close to it. Coming at the final turn, improves, but not quite to pole. He improves to second. So a very good lap there from Harley.
Yeah, but of course Harley Hamnet, he's our Australian driver in this championship. It's probably not so easy for him to compete because it's in the middle of the night or very early in the morning for him at this stage. So it's great to see that he's set such a fast time in qualifying. Certainly seems awake. Lost a bit on this lap though.
Mirvold's 7/10 up on himself, but he's ruined that middle sector. He's way down, so never mind. Hopefully Ole can get back up and improve on his time, move himself up the grid.
Let's see if someone can find enough pace.
Elbor
really...
is not up, but he's very close to Adrian Holm after the first sector. And he's even closer after the second sector. Moved up on himself, so Jesper not settling for that third place. So we'll see how he is coming up to the final chicane. He's got Tom Parker in front of him, who moves out of the way. Parker, a new driver from Magenta Warriors.
Seemed pretty clean, the final sector. He improves, but he can't improve his position. So Holm and Hamnet on the front row at the moment.
Rob Taplin has just jumped up a couple of places, but he's just jumped ahead of Janko Glavak, who's improving. Gets a wiggle on out the final corner though, so that's probably going to lose him time, and indeed it does. Navarro improves his time. Mervold's up on his time by about 3/10. He's down in 18th currently. That'll move him up a fair few spots ahead of guys like Bradley Vanian.
Meanwhile, Adrian Holm is going quicker once again. Over 10s faster than his previous sector. This guy certainly, almost 2/10s now on the sector. He certainly looks fast here.
Yeah,
Hits the apex
really
beautifully. Doesn't run wide. It's only the final chicane now, and I think he will improve his time again. Goes a little bit wide here, compromises his entry for this corner. Might have cost him a little bit of time. About to cross the line now. Yep.
Yeah, it cost him time. That time that he set would still have put him in first place though, so...
Meanwhile,
impressive.
William Levesque is up on the time after the second sector. He's now in the final corner, currently in 7th place. About to cross the line now. Oh, and he lost a lot of time in the final sector.
A huge traffic jam into turn 1, by the way, so anyone in that group who's on a lap could be in trouble, or in for the biggest draft of the qualifying session, who knows, but both Optimums are in there, as is Bradley Vanian, just a couple of names who I'd picked out. Tolborg's just behind it, so I think he'd be on a lap. Which indeed he is, and he's actually up in Sector 1. He's going to have a tow from Vanian down the back straight. And will this move him up closer to Holm, or even onto the front row? As my timing has lagged out, so I cannot see if he's up or down, but I'd imagine he'd be up considering the tow he got from Vanian. Now going to be on the receiving end of a bit of a slipstream there from Ryan Walker. Straub getting out of the way. Oh, he's dropped the lap to try and give himself some space.
Oh, Janko Glavak into 4th position, the high-speed driver, currently ahead of Danny Asbury, who was on the podium in the last event. High Speed Racing, the new team in the championship, they did their first event in the last round. at Manfield, and they certainly look really, really competitive. 4th and 6th at the moment for Glavak and Asbury. 3 minutes 40 to go in the session, so still a bit of time. And of course, when the checkered flag drops, you can still finish your lap times. So we might see quite a few drivers improving. Certainly, I know William Levesque currently in 8th position. He won't be happy with this time. Seems like he's running around with damage for me.
Hardwick is up on himself, a bit down on home, but this is certainly enough to improve his position coming out of the final turn. Currently he's 7th. If he equals his best sector, he could go up to 5th at best. But I like goes 4th, improves on this final sector. That's a good lap there from Hardwick.
Someone we haven't talked about yet, I think, is Ryan Walker, who's in a strong 9th place, Optimum Sim Racing driver. Didn't have the best season so far, but that's pretty strong.
That's much better than the qualifyings that Walker's shown. He's rarely qualified inside the top 15, if my memory serves me correctly. Also, kind of impressed by the driver in front of him on the road, as there goes Ron Squire going off in turn 1. But the driver in front of him, Kevin Siggy, is ahead of Walker on the road. He's 11th in the session thus far. He's notably an open wheeler specialist, so he's making the transition to big, heavy touring cars quite well at the moment.
He's filling in for Walters Automotive in this event, and I think this was a last-minute deal. So I'm not sure how much practice he had, but he certainly looks strong, and I think we can expect a lot from him.
Hardwick's up, sorry, coming out the final turn. He lost time across the line. But Glavak improves again.
Torborg is also up on the time in 3rd currently, but at least my timing is showing, and that he's a 10th out. We're both across the line now, coming out of the final corner. Torborg goes tall!
Yep. That lap by Jesper Torborg is only 1,000th slower than the fastest lap we've seen since the last round, which was set by Adrian Holm. So Holm is the only person that can go quicker than Jesper, judging by the lap time. The best sectors in the session all belong to Adrian Holm, and they are a theoretical best of 1 minute 6.666. So there's still a lot of time left in Holm's car.
But I'm not sure if Holm actually can do it in this session, because it's only 1 minute on the clock.
Hardwick's up again, by the way, coming out the final turn. He's 4th. The line improves. Stays 4th though. Van Navarro is 10th up on his time. He's 16th. That 1/10 could move him up a couple of places if he can just bring it home. Teammates are Adrian Holm for this race. Navarro loses time in the final sector though.
Drivers are setting their final lap times now in this session.
And the checkered flag comes out now, so anyone on a lap will get to finish
Adrian Holm, he's on a lap. And this was the best first sector we've seen so far. Will he do it on his last lap? Can he beat Jesper Torborg?
We're joined here by Andy Breeden. We'll get to him in a minute. But Holm's still up.
This is looking really, really strong. Into the final chicane now. Nice and clean. I think this is pole position. Let's see which run he gets out of the corner. Yep, this is the best time we've seen. And it's the final lap in qualifying. 1:06.795. And that's pole position for Adrian Holm in the Sharkskins car.
Yep. Anders Nilsson's improving, but he's had to abandon that lap. Don't think there's anybody else out on track that is improving. Calvin Herms is the only one on track that I can see anymore. He's a ways down, and he's at a bad final sector. And that's it. That's this qualifying session done. And now we're just waiting for the drivers to come around to the pits. And then we're going to move into the warm-up session and then the race. So, pole position for Adrian Holm in the Sharkskins factory team car. Then Jesper Tolborg, second place, and an all-Spa Power second row, which I personally am very happy about. But a good job there by both of those drivers, ahead of Janko Glavak. A good qualifying from Lewis Travis, who is separated from Rob Taplin for the first time I've seen. Danny Asbury 7th and William Levesque 8th. That's going to be an interesting row to watch. Ryan Walker 9th and Rob Taplin running at the top 10 for the moment.
Then we've got in 11th place David Jun for THR, who's done a decent qualifying. He's usually more of a driver who improves in the race and is not really strong at qualifying. 12th, Kevin Siggy on debut for Waters. Really strong performance from him. Next one is Kevin Angwin for Aerostream. Then Anders Nielsen. Gary Lennon in 15th. 16th place for Ivan Navarro in the Sharkskins car. That's a pretty good qualifying from him as well. 17th, Van Lopez. Then 18th, Daniel Beck, who's filling in at one-on-one racing. 19th place, Jonathan Ockerklint, who's driving for Frami Racing in this event. And then in 20th place, newcomer Bradley Vanian in the YTF1.
Yeah, then behind him in 21st is Ole Moraes Mervold for Save the Ring. Tom Parker, who has done a great job to put that thing 22nd, considering the amount of practice he's had. He was a very last-minute call-up to drive the Magenta Warriors car, ahead of Arkai Toretes. And Ben Hackison, who's recently come back from a couple of months out in Africa. So good job from him to get 24th. Tim Straub, 25th, ahead of Rui Martins. Then the two Missourics of Roy Magnus and Joshua Anderson on row 14. Calvin Hermsey, 29th, ahead of Ron Squire. And then newcomer to the series, Maciek Sakovic, didn't qualify, so he'll be starting from the back in the other Greek virtual racing car. And
so this is looking really interesting, and of course this time we don't have a sprint race like in the last two events. This time we have one long race, and of course strategy is an element as well, because we've seen it as well in the first round at Fuji, where Jesper Torg was trying to go for a one-stop, and almost everyone else was on a two-stop strategy. And it came down to, what was it, 3 laps before the end, I think. It was really close. In the end, Eric Strane won on a two-stop strategy, but Jesper Torvald still finished second with his one-stop strategy, so pretty decent performance from him there, and let's see if someone tries it again this time.
Yeah, hopefully the race won't be decided as much in the pit stops as it was at Fuji, because Oscar Hardwick obviously getting that drive-through penalty when he came in for his first stop, and Eric Tveit having to queue behind his teammate Eric Strane, put both of them out of contention for the race win. Speaking of Eric Tveit, he's not currently here right now, but he is one for joining last minute, so we still may see Tveit take to the grid in the second of the Ice Cold cars.
We also haven't seen John Monroe, I think. He had an excellent event last time around, so I'm not sure what happened there.
There seems to be a few notable names missing in the cars that are, of course, missing, but we'll have to go on without them. And obviously, there's the names like Holm, Tolborg, Levesque, Hardwick.
Yeah, and also the guys like Harley Hamlet stepping up. I'm well impressed by Harley's performance here.
Yeah, Harley we've been looking quick through the weeks of testing, and up until I believe the day before yesterday, he was actually the fastest person on the server until Holm decided to set at that point the fastest time we'd seen before he now went and smashed it in qualifying. Unfortunately, Harley spun it on the back straight. Hopefully he won't be doing that in the race. But he showed some flashes of pace at Manfield last time. Hopefully he can put it together for a whole race. As the drivers in the warm-up session, 1 minute to go before the race, they're just going to be trying to see how their car handles in race trim at the moment. Session currently topped by Kevin Siggy, so good job again from him, ahead of David Yunt for THR, who again seems to have showed up quite at the last minute, but we'll see how he can do. Obviously, he came 5th, I believe, at Fuji, but hasn't had that great results since, so he'll be looking to get back on form.
Yeah, with David Yunt in the last race, he was actually involved in a pretty tough battle with Lewis Travis towards the end, and he finished in the top 10, but it always seems like his qualifying performances are letting him down, and now he qualified 11th, so that's pretty decent. Hopefully he's back to his old form.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, it's going to be hard to make a prediction for this race because of the different strategies involved, but who do we think is going to win then, Rob?
I'm going for Adrian Horn because he's shown such excellent pace throughout the qualifying session and in the pre-practice as well. And last but not least, he's also driving for my team, so of course.
Yep, that is true. Obviously, I'm going to be pulling for one of the Smile guys, but in my completely non-biased opinion, I'm going to say yes to Tolborg because I would like to be different than Rob, and who knows? If Holm doesn't win, I would say it's considered an upset this race, but we're about to find out as 65 laps of racing await us.
Here we are in the race session now. Drivers got 30 seconds to prepare themselves for the formation lap.
Apologies for that, just adjusting my microphone while the driver is all grid up. You can see here the grid isn't staggered at all, so Jesper Tolborg is as much on pole as Adrian Holm is, and if anything, that outside line into turn 1 could be favourable, who knows. As they go to start their formation lap, with Adrian Holm leading them round, ahead of Jesper Tolborg, and then the two Smile Power cars, Hamnet out-qualifying Hardwick. Then Glavak for high-speed racing, good job in 5th, ahead of Travis 6th, then Asbury in the other high-speed 7th. Beck 8th, bit low down than he'd hoping for. Then Ryan Walker, Rob Taplin, David Yunt, Kevin Siggy, Kevin Angwin, Anders Nilsson and Gary Lennon rounding out the top 15. Ahead of Ivan Navarro, Fran Lopez, Daniel Beck, Jonson Ocklint, Bradley Vanyan, Olin Maris Mirvold, Tom Parker, Arkite Rettis, Ben Hackerson, Tim Straub, Rui Martins, Roy Magnus, Joshua Anderson, Calvin Hermse, and Maciek Sakovic rounding out the grid. Look at that, I got it done before we're even in the third sector. The drivers, they're trying to get some heat into their tyres to get a decent launch into turn 1, because that will be important.
I think it's also
out of position.
I think it's also very important to warm up the brakes, because you have to brake pretty hard for the first corner, and it will be very, very close, and of course you don't want to be in an incident in the first corner of a race, especially of such a long race.
Yeah, carrying damage will slow you down on every single lap, and if there's 65 of them, that's double what it would be in a sprint race. Also, even just running wide through the first corner when the grid is as close as this, you could easily lose 10, 12 positions by just being offline into that chicane. You should see some drivers like Harley Hamnet now doing a couple of burnouts to try and get that extra little last bit of heat into the tyres whilst everybody lines up on the grid.
And there's one interesting thing about this track, and that's that the start-finish line, well, the actual start line of the track is much further on the straight than the finish line. So maybe we will see drivers setting the fastest lap time of the race on the first lap, actually, so don't be surprised by that. That's because they start well ahead of the finish line.
Yep. Facts like this, that people are glad that we don't avoid a point for fastest lap. Otherwise it'd just be set on the first lap and unbeatable. As the guys at the back of the grid starting to form up. Mazurek forms up. There's Hermse. There's Sakovic forming up. Now, go to the front. The lights on the right hand driver's right. 1 light, 2, 3, 4. And they're out. And on the way down to turn 1, Tolborg bogs down. Holm gets a better start than him. Hardwick leaves Hamlet for dust, as does several other drivers, as Holm leads into turn 1. followed by
Oh.
Tolborg, Hardwick, Glavak up to 4th.
Very
and
close in
everyone
turn
going 2
1,
or
but
3
no
wide
incidents
behind.
so far, as far as I can see.
Yep, that's good. Still same order I can see.
Oh, there's some cars off in the chicane actually, but further back. Of course, this is a really tricky scene on the first lap. It doesn't look like we have lost anyone. Home leads from Torvok, and he's under pressure from Hardwick already.
Yep, Oscar with a brilliant start, putting himself right onto the back of the lead 3. Hamnet slowed with a slow start. That's what caused that gap between Hardwick and Glavak. But a little further back, William Levesque already up to 7th. He's probably the best of the people off the start. He needs to get on with his race if he wants any chance of getting on the podium. He needs to pass the 3 guys certainly in front of him, because they may not be as quick as Holm, Tolborg and Hardwick, and obviously they may be on different strategies. I know for a fact Hamnet was planning on a 1-stop. So if Hamnet can keep Levesque behind him, that could really scupper Levesque's race.
The close battle throughout the field in this beginning stage. Levesque now putting pressure on Hamlet. Oh, Levesque sideways in the chicane there.
There's only one incident on that first lap, and that's with the 2 guys who are currently running around at the back. That's Brandon Vanyan turning around Tim Straub. So otherwise, everyone cleanly through the first full lap.
Got some close battles here. And Lewis Travis in 5th place. He's putting the pressure on Janko Glavat, who's in a very, very strong 4th position in the beginning of the race. Travis coming close. And right behind them, Ryan Walker. It's also pretty close to William Levesque. Ryan Walker certainly stepped up his game for this event.
He's probably going to be a bit worried about Danny Asbury behind him, though, because Asbury's shown that he has a lot of pace the last couple of rounds. Danny actually dropping a place 2 Ryan Walker on the start.
Just ahead of them, Levesque now. After Hamlet, going for the inside for turn 1. So 6th place, can he do it?
Gonna back out of it. As Gary Lennon lost Gary Lennon. Not sure why that was, but I'll have a quick look on my own replay. But Joshua Anderson sly at the final turn as well. He's been off, so I'll have a quick look see. It looked like maybe a technical failure for Lennon. He just sort of pulled off onto the grass, and that was his race. So that's really unfortunate there for the Scotsman.
At the front of the field, we've got Adrian Holm leading. But Jesper Torvok, he's just under a second behind him, so certainly still in in close distance. Let's see if Torvok can close the gap, or if Holm can drive even quicker than him at this beginning stage of the race. Of course, we don't know what pit strategies these drivers are on, although from what we've heard from the paddock is that most drivers will be going for a 2-stop strategy again in this race. So this means they will probably pit around lap 22, or maybe lap 21. Still plenty of time to go on these tires.
As we just lost Arkais Retis, who's actually gone off at that very dangerous turn 6. Put it into the wall there, and that's his race done. So we're already down to 28 cars, which is
meanwhile, at the front of the field, Lewis Travis, once again really, really close to Janko Glavak. He really wants that 4th place. I think he now is definitely close enough to make a move. But can he go around the outside in this really tricky corner? He's backing out of it again. Oh, Glavak sideways. Travis sideways. That was a close call. Hamlet has caught up. Hamlet! Oh!
There Rangers Glavak. That was
Hamlet hits Glavak. That was a pretty bad mistake from Harley Hamlet, has to be said.
This, though. He's up to 4th.
Yeah, he's gained 3 positions in it, William Levesque. Hamlet now losing more positions.
There's contact.
Oh, Hamlet sideways.
Asbury as well, and Rob Taplin.
Noble just out of the race. Janko Glavak has rejoined in 13th position, so at least he's still going. That was pretty bad, because he was running so strong. Oh, Hamlet, side by side with Taplin now, in 8th position.
Like it could have been a disconnect from Miravold. Can't find any reason on my my replay, but
Hamlet really lost his rhythm there. Now Junt is right behind him.
And Siggy. So could train this. It's effectively started at Ryan Walker, then Danny Asbury, then Rob Taplin, then Hamnet, Yunt, and Siggy, all right close behind each other. And the recovering Glavak needs to do something from 13th. And he's behind Anders Nilsson right now, as we've lost Joshua Anderson. So 4 laps in, and we've lost 4 cars. At this rate, there's not going to be any finishes. So hopefully the attrition rate slows down a bit. And
Of course,
speaking of things that should slow down, Adrian Holm is getting a bit boring right now. He's lapping a 1/10 of a second per lap quicker than Jesper Tolborg, but they're both pulling away from Hardwick. And Hardwick, his pace isn't as good as Holm and Tolborg's, he's been saying, but the fact he's dropping away at this much indicates that he could be trying to save his tyres for a potential one-stop strategy.
The thing is, he's still 2.5 seconds ahead of Levesque. And Levesque certainly is a really fast driver, so we have to see how this gap develops over the next lap if Hardwick is really considering it. But of course, if he can still lap faster than Levesque, then I really doubt that he's on the one-stop strategy. Of course, it's really tough to go so long on your tires, and we've seen at Fuji that sometimes when you go for so long, your tires just completely fall off the edge, and then you're going 4 seconds per lap slower. And of course, with so many laps in this race, that could be pretty bad.
Yeah, well, unless they drop off right at the end of the stint, in which case it's maybe worth losing, 4 seconds a lap for 2 laps, and doing a full pit stop. So it's really a toss-up as to when the tyres fall off.
Got a pretty good battle here for P8 between Taplin and Hamnet. Hamnet certainly has found his rhythm again. Now he's looking menacing on the back of Taplin's Walk Racing Holden Commodore.
Hamnet needs to be careful, because if he makes a move and doesn't pull it off, then David Yunt will be straight through. As unfortunately we've lost another car, that's Tom Parker out for the Magenta Warriors. That leaves Levesque as the only one of that team left. Having a flick back through the field is a giant gap between 17th and 18th, but there's a pretty good battle going on for 20th between Calvin Hermse, Roy Magnus, and Rui Martins that is just separated.
Oh, someone's off. Bit. Someone's off. It's Ben Haxon in the Greek virtual racing car. Magnus just passed him.
And Haxon will now be joining in this battle. And
good to see Bradley Vanian.
Yep.
He's caught up to the battle. He had a bit of trouble in the beginning of the race, but he certainly has a bit of pace in these cars, so it will be interesting to see if he can gain a few positions.
Yeah, obviously there's still a long race to go. These guys, if they play their strategy right, could still quite easily get up into the points, and for Mara Motorsport, that would get them off the starting blocks if Rui Martins could score some points.
Of course, Mara Motorsport, one of the few teams that hasn't scored points yet, together with Volpo Racing, who are unfortunately completely absent today, Masurik Racing, and Cosmo Autosport, who are also absent today, I think.
Yep, they are. And Experienced GP, who are here in the form of Fran Lopez and Archites Retis, who's already out of the race, unfortunately. They're a couple of points under at the moment due to some penalties that have been handed out, so Fran will be looking to get himself from 16th and certainly up into the middle echelons of the points at the end of this race.
Well, we've got a good battle for 12th position.
I think we're losing Rob here, but Anders Nilsson trying to hold off Janko Glavak, who's obviously recovering after that incident early on for high-speed racing. I think Nilsson's got the measure of him for the moment, but just up the road, in fact, their teammates, Brian Walker and Danny Asbury, are having a battle, with Asbury attacking Walker for 6th. So it's very much high speed versus optimum at the moment, and then the filling between the battle is Rob Taplin, Harley Hamnet, and David Yunt and Kevin Siggy. Yeah, the Yunt, Hamnet, and Taplin are quite close together. But at the front, Holm is starting to have his gap reeled in a little bit by Jesper Tolborg, only by a couple of thousandths, as they come up to lap Tim Straub already, who's struggling for Frammy. And yep, Glavak right on the back of Anders Nilsson right now. That's for 12th and 13th.
As we have yellow flags, it's Tim Stroud. There's some problems at the moment in the final sector.
Yep, hopefully if he sticks to the pit wall like glue, then everyone will know where he's going. But it's a bit dodgy for Tim. He's going to reach the apex of the corner about the same speed as Glavak and Nilsson are, so he's going to want to get onto the grass on the inside quickly. Yep, as he does, lets them by. As Nilsson almost loses it, Glavak's going to use that to close in a little bit.
Of course, with the high attrition rate that we have in this race so far, after only 9 laps, even if you finish the race a couple laps down, you might still be able to score a point. These points go down until the 15th position, so even though Tim had a bit of trouble at the beginning, of course he will try to hold on.
Yeah, just looked at my own replay because we've lost Calvin Hermze and Maciek Sakovic. Just trying to see what's happened there, but I don't think I can. My replay won't go back far enough, so unfortunately we've lost the Greek Virtual Racing car and the Waters car. Both their teammates still going.
Meanwhile, Harley Hamlet, I think we missed that, but he's down to 11th position again. He must have made a mistake. No, behind David Jund and Kevin Siggy.
Yeah, it looks like it was
certainly he's shown some pace, but
looks like it was in turn 6. My replay is lagging, so I can't quite make sense of it, but turn 6 is a real blind spot, so possibly went off at turn 6, which is very easy to do. Now he needs to get back on the attack as soon as possible.
Okay, right behind him, Glavak still chasing down Nielsen. He's really close, but it's so difficult to make a pass on this track, especially a clean and safe pass. Because into turn 6, I mean, you could try it on the inside, but the danger is really high that you send your opponent into the barrier, or at least on the grass. He might come back on the track.
I think the best place is a dive into turn 8, because obviously you're setting it up through the chicane. But if you go tight through the chicane, you can go tight through turn 8 and potentially make up a position while the other guy's unawares. But as we saw from Hamnet earlier, it doesn't necessarily work all of the time.
You could also try it into turn 1, of course, which is still relatively fast though, so it's difficult to really position your car on the inside.
Oh, David Junt right on the back of Rob Taplin, as you said, going into turn 1. Taplin covered it, but Junt looking for a move into turn 4. Glavak and Nilsson trading places still for 12th place. They're being caught by Kevin Angwin in the Seoul Airstream here today.
We've got many good battles at the moment, but no one's really trying to force it.
Oh, we've
probably
lost
they've
Ben
heard
Paxson.
from the high attrition rate.
Unfortunate we've lost Ben. Again, that's another one I can't see, but it's in the blind spot that is turn 6, so unfortunately it looks like Ben may have had it come together with a wall or so. But as you were saying earlier, Rob, about the attrition rate, Tim Stroud was going to move up into 22nd despite being lapped. So if he can just keep his car on the road at this rate, that's going to be a couple of points heading Frammy's way. And after the loss of Juha Tuonainen, they're in need of some points.
Harley Hamlet, meanwhile, 11th position. He's going for it, the position. Doesn't quite make it. Backs out of it in the end. But he's looking really menacing. And other guys, they've been biding their time. They've been waiting. Harley Hamlet certainly has not been waiting. He tried it, and it didn't really go so well. He's trying to make up ground to gain positions.
Yep.
Still
just
looks really
like
close.
Glavak just behind, he's right on the back of Nilsson, but Siggy and Ham will arrive at the next corner first, so we'll see what happens with them. I don't think anything should happen through turn 6, it's just crazy.
It's interesting to see, it looks like Hamlet is running a shorter gear ratio, so he's actually getting into the ref limiter.
Going past Nilsson, held it tight through the little left-right flick, but doesn't quite get the exit speed.
Couldn't make it through.
Nilsson does.
Just ahead of him, Hamlet now had a good run out of the final corner, and he certainly is close enough. Let's see if he can get a top speed. He's not quite in the slipstream, no, he's going in the slipstream. Will he make a dive into turn 1? Positioning his car. Oh, it looks like it. He's going for it. Harley Hamlet That was a nice pass, beautiful pass into 10th position.
Siggy won't let it go easily though. He's going to look for any overtaking opportunity he can. Hamlet went a bit wide through the entry of that chicane.
Yeah, but I could imagine Hamlet
that's
actually has a bit more pace than Siggy at this stage. Because he qualified much higher than him. Glavak again, really close.
The gap for the lead, very close now between Holm and Toborg. So the last time in split it's a second, it doesn't look like it's a second anymore.
Certainly not a second anymore.
But,
maybe Holm's tires are already going off. It doesn't really seem so so likely, considering Holm's pretty good on the tires. He almost won with the no-stop strategy at Rapuna, but still Toborg is caught up with it.
There's a pass, that's for 13th. Anders Nilsson's in the gravel. Wonder what's happened there. Could it have been contact with Glavak? I can't see on my replay. But
looks like he's stuck there. Now he's back on track.
The traffic pass.
That's very interesting. Yeah, to score some good points here.
Well, he was right near Jan Glavak, Kevin Angwin, so could have been something. Oh, Jesper Toborg's brake lights are flashing. That will definitely be slowing him down on the straights. That's a technical issue that I'm not sure that Jesper can fix while he's still going. So you may have to live with the flashing brakes all through the rest of this race. Looks like nope, they're going back on again. But that may have given Holm a little breath of fresh air when it comes to being under pressure, because he knows he can pull away on the straights now as they're coming up to lap Rui Martins in the Mar car. But a little bit behind.
The gap is still under 1 second, so also we can't see it anymore that the lights are flashing, the brake lights. Maybe it's fixed now, maybe it's lucky.
Siggy and Hamlet side by side, sorry for 10th. They've exchanged places into the final corner and they're still side by side. Siggy's got his nose ahead, Hamlet's got the run. But Siggy's on the inside for turn 1. Yep, Hamlet.
I think he can cover it, but Hamlet goes for the switchback. He's too far back.
Yep.
Oh, contact! Sends him into the gravel. This was the second time Hamlet has hit someone in this race.
Also, we've lost Kevin Angwin. He was up in the points. So that's unfortunate for Angwin. That promotes Jonathan Ockerklint in the Frammy into the points, as well as Fran Lopez. So not too far away from some points for Frammy at the moment. Actually, if it all stays as it is, they will get some points. Or a point. No, 2 points. My mistake.
Looks like a disconnect for Kevin Angwin. It's very unfortunate. And means no points for Aerostream.
I don't think he's disconnected. I think he's just dropped down unless he hasn't quite fully disconnected yet.
Maybe it's one of these lag spikes like we've seen with Eric Twyde. He just randomly reappears and...
He's still in the server, he still has a ping. Maybe he put it in the wall at turn 6. Mysteries of Sandown.
Only thing we know for sure is that he's not in the race anymore. That's very unfortunate for him.
As the leaders come up to lap Roy Magnus, potentially could close them up again a little bit. Other than that, the closest battle on track is Rob Taplin, who's just run wide a little out of turn 4. He's being attacked by David Junt in the THR. And Junt get the toe and close the gap a little bit. I don't think he's close enough to try anything into this section of corners. So they're going to stay line external.
Right behind them. Hamlet is still after chasing Siggy.
Yep.
Still looking pretty
Glavak's
strong.
closing in too.
Of course, they made contact before, so we have yellow flags for a short moment there. Of course, the reason why Glavak is so far back is that Hamlet sent him off.
David Junt's made a mistake. He's lost a lot of time to Rob Taplin. So that's unfortunate for THR. If he falls back into the clutches of Siggy, Hamlet and Glavak, his chances of a top 10 can completely disappear. But we'll have to wait and see as these guys battling over the last position at the top 10. Having a look as the leaders are lapping, as William Levesque, sorry, is lapping Rui Martins at the moment. Everything's relatively evenly spread out, except for this battle between Siggy, Hamlet and Glavak.
Yeah, Siggy is past Hamlet at the moment, but I don't think we've seen the end of this. Hamlet looks like he has stronger pace, but every time he tries to make a move, there's a little bit of contact and he can't make it stick.
That's a testament to how hard it is to pass at this track, because of these three, if qualifying tells us anything, is that Siggy's the slowest of these three drivers. And obviously they wouldn't be behind Siggy if it wasn't for the contact earlier on in the race, but Siggy's just got to hit his marks.
Oh, he runs wide
like
here.
That.
This might be the opportunity for Hamlet, but now he's on the outside for the next corner, so I'm not sure how he can make that one stick. Siggy's giving him no room. No chance for him here. Maybe he can position himself that he gets a run, but now we can already see Janko Glavak is so close as well. Oh, this was a good run from Hamlet out of the final corner. Now he has a chance. In the slipstream of Siggy. Siggy's not quite on the inside, so maybe there's enough room for Hamlet to do a little dive.
Yep, as they both move back out to the outside. Oh, Siggy's locked the rears.
Siggy!
Locked the rears.
Might be it. Hamlet's
very
through.
Lucky that Siggy didn't
Where's
run
Glavak?
further wide.
Glavak can't make it.
Just having a little look further back, just saw Tim Straub lag straight off at turn 6. I thought he was his car was done for a minute there, but it isn't. So
something I want to point out: Lewis Travis, who had so much bad luck in the first races, he's still running in 5th position. 3 is Jean-Pierre Paul.
He's right behind Magnus, but hopefully the curse of the commentator doesn't come back and bite him. As Glavak has passed Kevin Siggy, that's for 11th. That happened in turn 7, by the looks of it, turn 7-8. But either way, Glavak is through and needs to start hunting down Hamnet, who's already built a pretty big gap. It's 8/10 at the last time. It's now 2.2 seconds. So Hamnet's really moving. He actually gained on the leaders that lap, so very good time from Hamnet. He's pushing hard. Oh, speaking of people pushing hard, Anders Nilsson's pushed too hard into turn 6, and he's gone. That car doesn't look like it's. Nah, that car's not moving anywhere soon. That's Nilsson out of the race, unfortunately, for Optimum. Victim of that corner as the leader's lapping Bradley Banyan in the YTF1. So that's unfortunate for Nilsson. He was running well and then spun it off, and now he's out of the race.
Like we already said earlier, the attrition rate is just crazy in this race. Tim Straub off the track again. I'm not sure what's going on with Tim Straub in this race. He seems to have lots of problems.
Levesque pits from 5th. He's now 6th, 7th. This is on the lower end of the 2-stop bracket that we were expecting. So anyone on the 2-stop should be in between the next 2 or 4 laps we expect. Levesque, it's like a trouble-free pit stop.
It actually looks like it's taking pretty long.
And maybe he's, I don't know, fueling up or so. But
maybe he's repairing damage.
Lopez
I could not remember him in an incident that maybe he picked up a little bit.
Obviously, he was doing that mad scramble early in the race that occurred when Hamnet and Glavak made contact. So maybe he picked up a little bit of a knock there. But either way, he's currently 15th. That about catching Ockerklint, Lopez, and Navarro as soon as possible. Oh, and that's Daniel Beck has spun it. He's out of the race for one-on-one. That's unfortunately another diamond. As we have
Oscar Hardwick comes into the pits.
Yep,
and also Lewis Travis behind him.
And Danny Asbury as well. Danny Asbury's in too. David Yunt staying out. Will Hamnet pit? Hamnet doesn't.
No, he's not pitting yet. Of course, he has to wait a little bit because Hardwick might be in his pit box. But Danny Asbury had to wait in the pit lane. That's very, very unfortunate for Danny Asbury. That's costing him a lot of time.
Unfortunately, it did. Here goes Levesque. Travis jumps Levesque. Levesque did have a long pit stop, and the gap between Travis and Levesque is now much
Travis
bigger.
is now fighting with Fran Lopez for 10th position.
Fran won't give an inch to anybody, unless he absolutely has to. So Travis is going to be in for a couple of laps of fun while trying to break away from Fran.
Someone told me that Fran Lopez is driving like he's constantly in an action movie. So it's certainly exciting to watch him race as they're passing Tim Straub once again.
Neither of the leaders pits, but Ryan Walker pits from 3rd, Rob Taplin in from 4th. David Yunt staying out again, trying to be the last person to pit again, I guess. Hamnet also staying out, so he stays out too much longer, then it'll be confirmed he's on a one stop. But here comes Hardwick. If Taplin has managed to jump Hardwick, I don't think he has. But as Navarro picks from behind, Taplin has jumped Ryan Walker, that's for certain. Here goes Clint, here comes Levesque. Levesque just about stays ahead of Taplin, and Walker losing a couple of places there. Navarro still in the pits.
Let's see if the leaders are pitting, but we don't see the pit crews yet. Holmes staying out, Hawk staying out. On to lap 23 now. Are they really trying the one-stop strategy? That could be a risky move.
Here comes Navarro.
Maybe it's worth it.
Ooh, Navarro not really sure which way Tolberg was going to go there. As Navarro has a bit of a lag spike, in fact. That shouldn't really be happening. I think Van Navarro has unfortunately disconnected. No, he isn't. He's back. Van Navarro, in the case of the teleporting Sharkskins car, he's 15th at the moment. Not under any real pressure from anybody around him.
Still in the points though, so everything's looking pretty well. Meanwhile, William Levesque in 9th position, he's putting pressure on Jonathan Ockerklin, who might actually be on the one-stop strategy here in the Ferrari racing car. Levesque, of course, should be much quicker at this stage with the fresh tires. Oh, Levesque goes for it into turn 1, and that seems like a clean move. Hits a curve a bit on the inside, but very clean.
Johnson really isn't a one-stop. These two are technically battling for position with one pit stop each left to go. So
yes, and we could see that
probably trying to attack back.
When Jonathan drove in the last round, no, actually in the second to last round at Ruapuna, he was going for a no-stop strategy in the shorter races. So maybe he's thinking one-stop is the way to go here.
Maybe, as I'm just flicking through again and notice Roy Magnus and Rui Martins, they are together being lapped by Oscar Hardwick. They were having a battle for 17th. They both went off at turn 6. And I thought that both of them were going to end up in the wall. Gladly they didn't. But Levesque now to the back of Fran Lopez, gives him a little bit of a tap in the rear. Fran's not happy, but Levesque passes. He sends Fran Lopez sideways in a scene that would legitimately come from an action movie, where the bad guy spins the good guy. But I digress. They keep going. Fran Lopez goes on another lap, as does Clint.
Meanwhile, Holm and Torvik are still out. You know, they're still on track.
Torvig's flashing brakes have come back to haunt him again.
I mean, you have to see the whole situation. These guys are leading the race. These guys are setting the pace, and they're on the one-stop strategy. That's that's quite impressive from these two.
Either they're running a very long first stint in the attempt to try and catch the other out or so, but or they're legitimately on a no-stop strategy. The top 5, in fact, so that includes Adrian and Jesper, and David Yunt, who's coming around again. He goes past pit. Harley Hamnet also hasn't pitted, neither has Janko Glavak, and Hamnet stays out, Glavak stays out. So, they 5 are looking like they're on a one-stop strategy. Hardwick in 6th.
This provides a lot of entertainment.
Oh, Taplin and Clint for 9th and 10th, and Walker there. Sorry, for 10th, 11th, and Ryan Walker for 12th. They're all having a nice little battle.
Oh, Walker on the inside.
Clint still going as well, by the way, so possibly a one-stop from him and Fran Lopez. So Walker and Taplin trying to get back past each other as well as Clint. We're going to feed into single file.
Clint certainly seems to be a little bit slower than these guys, but he's still catching up to Fran Lopez, so...
The leaders go around again.
Oh, Walker has a look on the inside now of Taplin. For 11th place. They're coming up to the most dangerous corner on the track. Let's see if Walker can really pull it off here. It seems like he's backing out of it.
That was the sensible
That's a sensible option. Yeah.
Instead of giving
Taplin.
From a movie.
That was so close. He was so close to the back of Ockerklin, but he can't make the pass. Ockerklin doing a brilliant job to defend his position here. And Ockerklin is not really taking the defensive line either. He's just driving around there, doing his laps, and no one can pass him.
These three being caught by Danny Asbury, and they're also catching Fran Lopez a little bit, so this could turn into a 5-way scrap before long. Yeah, there's Rui Martins back in the pits for some reason. There's Taplin to the inside of Ockerclint. That looks like it's signed, sealed, and delivered. Yep, Taplin up the inside of Ockerclint. Now Ryan Walker needs to follow him through as quickly as possible to not lose any ground.
Oh, he already does it right here. A little bit of contact, but all clean.
And here comes Asbury as well. Asbury needs to, will be looking to get past Ockerclint as well, because they're obviously on different strategies, so...
Asbury was of course very unlucky in the pit stop, so... he certainly is a bit quicker than the guys around him, I think.
Yep. Oh, Holmes pitted, Holmes pitted. Holmes has pitted.
And I'm not sure which strategy this is.
And out, he's been passed by David Junt, but now Jesper Tolborg has a 23-second lead on David Junt. So...
Oh, Hamnet! Hamnet trying to pass home.
There he
and
goes.
He's through, oh, he's running wide.
No, he's held that.
Yeah, he's through, he made it stick. And that's bad news for home. That's definitely bad news for home. I'm not sure if he can actually pull off a one-stop. Because he has to do so many laps still.
I think 5 or 6 laps more. And then they're on a and it's halfway into the race, so the logical...
Yeah, but of course you have to see it like this. He's doing now 5 laps less on his first stint, and has to do even 5 laps more.
Ockerclint, 12th and 13th, they're switching places. Asbury comes out on top, but goes across the grass. He may give that position up to...
Meanwhile ahead, Walker. Sorry, pass.
Yeah. Taplin has gone through the track quite well, is just in front. Tim Straub goes off at turn 6 again, he holds it. David Junt in the pits, odd strategy as well for David Junt. Which goes Hardwick. Not quite sure what some of these people are really doing, but kind of pitting in the middle of
Walker
nowhere.
Trying to pass Lopez now on the outside. It doesn't really work in this corner. But he's looking strong. He's looking like he will take the position pretty soon. And also Taplin is of course getting away ahead.
Taplin is going to get Junt into turn 1, I think. Yeah, there he goes. So now
the guys behind him, Lopez and Walker, catching up to Junt as well.
Yeah,
Walker on the inside of Lopez. Ooh, Lopez closes the door, but it looks like a clean move, and now Danny Asbury. He tries to capitalize, but now he's on the outside for the next corner. Oh, Lopez runs a bit wide. Danny might get inside here. Let's have the inside. Lopez
Fran's gonna get
still hanging on to the position. That's great racing. And then he really has to think of something, because otherwise he might lose touch to Ryan Walker.
Holm now on the attack of Hamnet. Holm needs to get past Hamnet if he wants to even have a shot at winning this race, because the longer he stays behind Hamnet, the more of a gap Tolborg builds, and the more that Holm has to do later on in the race. Going to the inside into turn 1.
Oh, this is close, but it looks like he's made a... Yeah, he made a stick.
Yeah, he's through.
And it runs a bit wide on the exit.
Obviously, the time he'd spent behind Hamnet probably cost him maybe a second and a half, or maybe even more. But he's clear through now, and now he needs to set off closing this gap down to Jesper Tolborg. But first, he needs to leave Hamnet behind, which I think he's doing.
The thing is, with Jesper Tolborg, we are absolutely sure that he's on a one-stop strategy. With Adrian Holm, I'm not that sure what he's actually doing.
Go a long way is Danny Asbury, I think, has finally passed Fran Lopez. Yep, he has, and now Ockerclint will be looking to get onto the back of Lopez. Both of these guys, we believe, are one-stopping. David Junt in 9th. He's closed the gap on Rob Taplin a little bit. So Junt's going to have a couple of laps fresher tyres, but Taplin has obviously undercut him. They're both coming up to the back of Tim Straub, who's still going for Frammy. Position swaps again. Johnson Ockerclint now has passed Fran Lopez. Fran's tyres, maybe with his action movie driving style, he's not letting them live as long as Johnson's. So Fran falling back a little bit. Kevin Siggy's the next guy behind them, and Kevin Siggy and Fran Lopez, former teammates in another couple of leagues. So see if there's any bad blood between them. Hopefully not, as
Oh,
Fran looking
Lopez.
back on the attack. Johnson's
And now you can see how much
ragged.
Siggy is actually gaining when these two are battling. He's
Yeah,
right
Siggy's on much
up to
fresher
the back
tyres.
of Van Lopez now.
Tolborg in the pits, we've missed him coming in, but he's getting his stop done. As Holmes coming out of the final turn, Tolborg's still stationary. Obviously he's going to have to fuel up for a bit longer, but as
Yeah, but it looks like
makes
something
the
when
pass.
Holmes pulled off such a big gap, so it's really weird.
Oh,
Maybe
Tolborg's
his
been
tires
jumped by
have been.
Hardwick. Tolborg's been jumped by Hardwick, who's on the back of Glavac himself, but Hardwick has obviously got to pit again, but you know,
All right,
Tolborg may
let's
lose
have
some time.
a
Hardwick's
look for a
passing
moment.
Glavac. Hardwick in fourth, Glavac in third. They're side by side.
Ooh, Hardwick on the inside.
Positions change for
Glavac
the
is
back,
giving him
others-
room. And sensible driving from Glavac.
Yep.
But let's have a look at the moment. So we've got in first position Adrian Holm. He might be on a one-stop strategy, but I think it's more likely that he's on a two-stop strategy.
He's got some back markers now.
Then we've got in second place Harley Hamlet, who's definitely in a one-stop strategy, but who hasn't been in the pits yet, as far as I know.
He hasn't, as Kevin Siggy has got past Fran Lopez, but Fran's got him back. His position changing down in 13th and 14th. As I think Siggy may have actually gone off the track at some point. The gap's a bit bigger than it should be, but I can't see it on the replay.
Hamlet's in the pits from second place.
Yeah, and Glavac in as well.
So now the other guys are gaining positions. Torwork's through, Travis is through, Levesque is
Levesque.
also coming through. Taplin and Jund, really close for 8th place.
That's going to move into 7th, for 6th and 7th. Glavac still stationary. Hamlet's moving. Trying to work out where Hamlet should be looking to come back out. Obviously, everyone
Behind Walker,
on track
behind Asbury, behind
is gonna be
Ockerton as
ahead of
well.
Yeah, he's going to be way ahead of Siggy though, I think.
Oh, Glavac might come out exactly where Siggy is.
Yep, here
Yep,
comes Fran
loses the
Lopez.
position.
Fran's not going to be able to get him, is he? Not by turn 1. Maybe? No. But so Glavac rejoins, he's back in 13th. Behind Siggy. Needs to try and pass again. And
Meanwhile,
these
Jund
two
in 6th
close.
position, going for 5th place on the outside. He can't do it.
Well, he's got the cutback, but obviously the line merges through that little kink. Taplin's covered the inside.
These two are two really sensible drivers, so I wouldn't really expect to see much carnage here when they're battling.
Yeah, and he's
Oh,
Brandon
Jund
Bandit
is-
sticks to the pit lane.
Jund is looking a bit quicker than Taplin at the moment. Of course, Jund pitted later, so he should have fresher tires at this stage.
I think it was only by... Oh no, because Junt stayed out to the last of... Other than home, the last of what we think is the two-stoppers. But the more these two battle, the more Ryan Walker will be brought into the picture for this 6th place battle. As Junt's on the inside, he's gone through. Taplin's held it around the outside though. So...
Oh,
Junt
Junt.
slides it into the apex ahead of
That was a
Taplin.
good pass. Let's see if Taplin has an answer for that.
I don't think he will unless he can get the draft up into turn 6.
It seems like he can't really follow Jund. On the straight, he's coming closer, but that's not enough to make a move.
Right, there. Gaps starting to open up as Ryan Walker off in the background. Keeps it out of the wall. But that's going to be him on his own, losing time to Taplin and Junt, who he needs to try and catch up to. But different strategies, or sorry, the same strategy, they just haven't pitted yet. Hamlet right on the back of Ockerklint, that's for 10th. Ockerklint loses the back end coming out of that corner though, Hamlet's going up the inside. And I believe Ockerklint should be pitting this lap if he's going half and half. Well, they've already gone past that point, but...
He's still staying out.
Still going.
I guess he can't do a no-stop in this race.
That'd be impossible. I've heard from the drivers, or from a couple of drivers, that their tyres can last up to about 45 laps. Obviously with the drop-off, but before they puncture they can last to about 45-50 laps. So unless Jonathan's added a couple of layers of rubber, then he's not going to be able to get to the end on those stops. But that also does mean that Holm could have done a very early pit stop on a one-stop.
But I think with the
because they'll lose too much
times
time.
Holm is doing at the moment, he's doing such fast times. I think he's actually the fastest driver in the field at the moment. He's still lapping in the mid 107s. He's faster than Torborg at the moment. So I think he's actually coming to the pits once more. Meanwhile, Torborg, with him, I'm more confident that he might be on a one-stop strategy, and he's actually still closing the gap to Oscar Hartwig, who's definitely on a two-stop strategy, but is currently in a strong second place.
I think that Holm and Torborg were the only two guys to go under the 107 barrier, you know, up until this point. So they're obviously the two fastest, as Siggy and Glavak have both passed Ockerklint. Ockerklint in the pits finally for his stop. He's going to come out in 14th place though, because Fran Lopez in 15th is a ways back. That's going to be Ockerklint to go into the end from here, hopefully.
Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Lewis Travis is about 2 seconds behind Jesper Torborg. It's only 2 seconds. Of course, Travis has to come into the pits again, but he's also pretty close to.
Torborg 1 second behind Hardwick.
Yeah. So this means Travis is pretty close to.
Yeah, a little
Oscar
over
Hardwick
3
as well.
seconds, 3.1 seconds. If
Oh,
my timing's
Hardwick's running
accurate.
wide here.
Yep, he's got his lights on, telling Jonathan Ockerklint, look out, the leaders are coming. Hopefully Jonathan will.
Ooh, Hardwick sideways. Now Ockerklint definitely has to let him through here. Otherwise, he's costing him time. Hardwick's moving to the inside, and it seems like Ockerklint is having no intentions of slowing down. Oh, contact! Contact on the straight. That's just dangerous, but that's dangerous from both drivers.
Jonathan's run
Torborg's
wide,
immediately
Torborg's
through
gone by.
as well, and Torborg now has the chance. He's right behind Oscar Hardwick. I'm not quite sure what Ockerklint was trying to achieve with that, because he's a lap down.
I don't know, maybe it was a technical fault on his end that wasn't displaying blue flags or so. Maybe he just didn't see them, I don't know. But crazy situation. But it's left Hardwick with a lot of work to do to try and keep Torborg behind. The gap now 0.4 of a second to Hardwick, from Hardwick to Torborg, even. And
But on the other hand, the gap has gone up. It's a bit hard to tell at the moment how big the gap actually is, because the sectors are just a little bit messed up.
through the split they got like
Between,
7/10 between the two of them, so Hardwick's looking to try and eke out some more gap. There's Travis flashing Ockerklint to say, let me through, I'm on the lead lap. But again, Ockerklint, he lifts out of it this time, but didn't look like he was getting out of the way until the very last moment.
But I have to say, Lewis Travis, what a great race so far. He's doing probably faster times than Hardwick at this stage, and they're on the same strategy.
And he's still ahead of Levesque as well, who is renowned on iRacing for being good at things with their big heavy and have lots of horsepower.
Pit crew from Magenta Warriors is already preparing again. I'm not sure what's going on there with Levesque. Oh, maybe that was just a trick to fool the commentators.
It'll be right on the fringes of the early part of the second pit stop window, I'd say, because no, that's still in about 6 laps or so. I'm not sure what Levesque's doing.
Maybe just clicked on the button to register, tell his pit crew to get ready, and then they got ready, and he was not even planning to come in. Torborg still pretty close to Hardwick, less than a second as we have, but I'm not sure if Torborg really has to push it at this stage. Because it seems like Holm still has to do a pit stop, and the gap is around 13 seconds between Holm and Hardwick.
I think the smart thing to do for Jesper right now will be to just ease off. You know, try and match Oscar, try and keep about a second gap. And then when Holm pits and Oscar pits, Jesper's going to have more tyres than he would if instead of him going aggressive and attacking Oscar.
I mean, the situation is...
If he attacks Oscar, then his tyres are going to go off earlier. If he keeps them, he's going to have more life to fight Holm off at the end if necessary.
The situation is pretty easy for Torborg as well. If he has to go into the pits, he has no chance to win the race, because Holm also only has to do one more pit stop, if he does the pit stop. So, yeah, and Torborg is just quite a bit behind them at this stage.
We'll find a battle. Young Code Black in 12th has caught Kevin Siggy. That's for 11th and 12th.
He's been battling a few times in this race already.
Yep. Like magnets, you can't separate them.
Harley Henner is just right ahead of them, on a bit of clear air.
I think the same should be said of Hamnet that is of Tolborg, just to ease off and save some tyres for the end of the race. I mean, because at Ruapuna, we saw the lead in both races was changed on the last lap. And if the leader onto the last lap had a bit more tyres, then the lead wouldn't have changed. So maybe they learned from the previous races and are just easing off a touch. As Tolborg right onto the back of Hardwick. The gap is now just over 0.3 of a second.
Also 107.6 from Jesper Torg. Doesn't look like he's going easy on his tires here. Of course, he doesn't have such a driving style that eats the tires so much. It's just very smooth and not pushing it, not steering the car with the rear so much, not sliding. It's just naturally a bit better on his tires than many of the other drivers.
Very smooth driver is Jesper. I mean, when you.
But also Adrian Holm, the guy who's leading the race. So
they're both very smooth. We say that Holm dips a wheel off onto the grass, but nothing gained, nothing lost.
Torg's really close now to Hardwick. I'm wondering if he really wants to do a move. If he just thinks, okay, I give Oscar a bit of time, we'll come to the pits.
Turn 1. And see he's looking for a way back past the high-speed racing car. But I don't think he's going to find it. Certainly not in this corner, and if Gleback can stretch his legs on this straight, then I don't think Siggy will be able to catch him. Not at least till the next pit stop window. Oh no, sorry, that was someone missed a sector beam on my end. I thought Jesper had passed Oscar into turn 1 there, but it turns out he hasn't. There's both these guys coming up on Tim Straub. Oscar hasn't had much luck with back markers recently, as Tim proves no issue for either of them.
Yeah, Tim has been doing a really good job of letting everyone through, and I'm not sure how many laps he's actually down at this stage, but he's still running.
4 laps off the lead. 4 laps off the lead is Tim Straub.
Torg's looking close to Hardwick, and Hardwick, of course, he will come into the pits pretty soon for a second pit stop. Oh, Hardwick goes wide. Torg on the inside, Hardwick's not even trying to keep the position. Clean move by Torg. Mistake from Hardwick, and I think he should get new tires pretty soon.
They're coming into the pit stop window now. It should be around lap 42, lap 43, lap 44, as Holm has gone on to lap 42. 15 seconds
Travis
ago.
is in 4th place. Lewis Travis, the Walk Racing driver, comes into the pits.
Potentially trying to undercut Hardwick there.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea, because it looks like Hardwick's struggling at this stage. Of course, he has to watch out, because Levesque was right behind him in the on track before, and Levesque is certainly fast.
Okay. Well, there was a pretty big gap between Levesque and...
Levesque went past Oscar Clint and went a little bit too wide. Oh!
William Levesque doing a Chris Hoy impression. But gets it all back on 4 wheels where these things are most comfortable. I think Levesque should be more concerned about David Yunt than he is about
Lewis Travis. He's come out in 9th place and just got held up a bit by Rui Martins on the pit exit.
Obviously, this is
he's
very
losing
bad
time
for
here.
Travis. Contact on the back marker. Martins is off.
I'm not sure if Martins was trying to let him through at this stage, but it looked a bit strange.
Oh, Fran Lopez has caught right back up to Jonten Ockerklint. That's for 14th and 15th, the last couple of points. A lap down on William Levesque. But these two, they were very close before the last pit window. And both of these guys, we believe, are on a one-stop strategy. So if Fran is getting up on the back of Jonten, this could be a battle to keep an eye out for in the kind of later races. Oscar Hardwick into the pits.
Now we have to see where Hardwick comes out, because maybe Travis undercut.
Ahead of Travis.
Of course, Travis lost a bit of time.
Pit stop from Hardwick. Hardwick comes out. He's in 8th now behind Hamnet. Actually, here comes Travis. This is going to be very close.
This could be close. Looks like Hardwick is ahead.
Car's going to be colder though, as Siggy's in the pits. A bit further behind.
Meanwhile, in 12th position, Ivan Navarro, and right behind him Danny Asbury, the two Americans together on track, but Navarro ahead of Asbury.
I think Danny may have snuck into the pits when we weren't looking, because he was way ahead of Van. Either that or he may have made a mistake, but I would guess it's a pit stop more than anything. But now Danny has to try and pass his countryman, and Van has no reason to let him by. As up ahead, Levesque into the pits, as is Rob Taplin just behind. These guys pitted on the same lap in the first pit window, I believe. If Levesque can get closer to Hardwick and Travis, I don't think he will, because he's still not moved Levesque with another long pit stop. Taplin's in fact got going. Can Taplin jump Levesque? No, but Levesque just gets going. He's been jumped by Levesque, although Levesque hasn't pitted a second time yet, I don't believe.
See where he comes out.
They're going to be there because Van Navarro is holding up Asbury behind. 9th and 10th for Levesque and Taplin.
Meanwhile, Siggy is off the track in 13th position. And Jun's right behind. Ooh, Jun left Ockerklin, I think.
Or he's just lapped that battle between Ockerklin and Fran Lopez. So, Fran's fallen off Johnson a little bit, but still.
Oh, Rui Martins is around in 18th position. In a very dangerous spot there. Struggling to get going again.
There goes a Van,
there goes Asbury,
there goes Vanian.
Bretty Vanian, I think he's just in 16 positions in the final.
The points.
Yeah. Just waiting for a little bit of misfortune. He's 41 seconds behind Van Lopez, so that's a huge gap. He definitely can't make that up on, on pure pace. So he needs to wait for someone ahead of him to make a mistake. We're also waiting on someone else,
Brian
and
Walker
that's
and Davidian in the pits. Davidian with quite a short middle bit of his two-stop. He's going to jump Levesque by a mile. Oh, no he isn't. My bad, he's going to jump Levesque, but not by a mile.
Yeah, but something definitely has gone wrong by for Levesque.
Taplin's jumped Walker as well, and here comes Danny Asbury. I think Walker will stay in front of him now. Or will he? This is going to be close going into turn 1 between Walker and Asbury.
Owen Holm and Navarro are in at the same time. That's unfortunate for Ivan Navarro. But of course, these two are sharing the pit stop. And Jesper Torvog now should be leading the race. Once again, the Iceman. Cool as ever.
I think this is it for the rest of the race. Holm has not the biggest gap in the world to close in, but it's still a fair amount.
You say that.
In third.
He's got fresh tires, he doesn't have so much fuel, and you shouldn't forget, Jesper Torvog pitted 5 laps early. He's not on a perfect one-stop strategy. So it remains to be seen if Jesper can really pull it off, because we could see it at Fuji that his tires just dropped off so much in the end, and it didn't help him at all, and he was driving smooth. So
maybe
this is far from over.
He was easing off behind Oscar, it saved him a bit, but
but it didn't look like he was easing off so much. He was still doing pretty strong lap times. But the other problem is, even if Adrian Holm can close this gap, he still needs to pass Jesper, and on this track, it's not so easy.
Got 18 laps to close, 11.5 seconds, and make a pass on one of the most successful V8, most successful drivers in V8 supercars in R Factor.
Yes, but of course, Adrian Holm, he's not slow either. He had his success, so.
Here's Tim Straub has spun on the exit of the final corner. Anyone going into the pits maybe.
Oh, Hamlet and Hardwick are through. And Hardwick actually is closing up to Hamlet. Hardwick has completed.
Neither of them have to stop again. Remember, Hamlet's on the no stop. So
but Hardwick should have better tires. So I think he will get.
Team orders, so these guys can battle any which way they want. Just hopefully they won't.
And they're in 3rd and 4th position. That is definitely the best Smile Power Racing has run as a team in this championship so far.
I think it's the best result as well for 3rd place or 4th place. I think 5th is the best result that we've had thus far. As Hardwick runs very wide, but
and he's got
Travis is going to be right behind an interesting one. Back Levesque trying his best to close the gap to David Young. Gap is now 1.2 seconds. Yep. But Levesque probably faster than Yunt, but
Oh, Travis is close to Hardwick. Travis is really close. Of course, Travis tried to undercut Hardwick with his pit stop, so he should have maybe a little bit of problems with his tires at the end of the stint. But now they're also closing up to Hamlet, and I think it will take them like 2 laps, and then they're really close to Hamlet as well, and then we have a nice 3-way battle.
Speaking of battles,
It's for
Fran
podium
Lopez
position.
Fran Lopez, a bit further back, is just past Ockerclint. That's for 13th. These two still battling. I think they're going to be battling until the end of the race, considering they're both on a one-stop. But
Hardwick's now right behind Hamlet.
I think
will get
these
close.
guys are far enough ahead of Vac in 6th that these guys, barring anything going wrong, should finish 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
I think Hamlet maybe has to worry, but because maybe his tires drop off massively at the end of the race. For Hardwick and Travis, they've got fresh tires, they won't have this problem, so they can battle hard. And I think if Hardwick gets past Hamlet, Travis has to get past Hamlet as soon as possible as well. Or
Well,
maybe he
Hamlet
can even make a
pitted-
move before.
Hamlet pitted a lap before halfway, and his times only dropped off over that entire stint. Every lap was within 1.6 seconds. So it's not as if Hamlet's tires are doomed to go off, because they last that length of time. It's just the fact that they're so much older than Hardwick and Travis's tires, that they're on his rear. So we'll have to see how it goes, as the Van der Vaart is just in front of them, who is currently the last point scorer. Yes, he is.
Oh, Hardwick
battle between
outbraked himself. Travis is now so close to the rear bumper of Hardwick's car, and he's going for it! Oh, bit of contact. But nothing that happened there.
All of this is giving Hamlet a breather. Adrian Holm lapping the last time by 1.2 seconds. Holm was quicker than Tolborg, so he will catch him by the end of this race.
Yes, and the gap is down to less than 10 seconds and less more than 10 laps to go. So we should have an interesting battle here pretty soon.
Less than 9 seconds now.
But so far we still have an interesting battle for P3. So we got a little gap to Travis once again. Now Hamlet is catching up more and more to Van der Vaart, who's a lap down.
Yeah, Van's no slouch, so it will still be maybe a lap before they catch him properly, unless the Van moves out of the way before then. But everyone else in the middle of the pack that's still running is kind of on their own, other than Fran Lopez and Jonathan Ockerclint, so been interesting to keep an eye on them. And Roy Magnus is closing in on Bradley Vanyan, that's for 16th and 17th. But otherwise, the main battle obviously is between Lewis Travis and the 2 small power cars.
And I'm positively surprised by Hamlet how he can keep this pace, because remember, Hamlet has been in 2 accidents already in this race. Could imagine he has a little bit of damage, and of course he lost lots of time. He's still going in 3rd, and it doesn't seem like Hardwick can really make a move at the moment. He's on all the tires as well.
All Hamlet has to do is just hit his marks, drive around in like the middle to the inside of the track.
Oh, and you say that, and he's going wide? Now Hardwick has the opportunity. Oh, Hamlet's giving him room. Hardwick can go down the inside. And he's going through.
I think this is smart, and then Hamlet should
Oh,
hopefully
Travis.
defend from Travis as much as he can. Because yeah, it'll take a very, very brilliant drive from Hamlet to actually keep Travis behind him from this point till the end. It's probably the smart thing to do to let Oscar go through and build a gap to secure that 3rd position.
Now Hamlet of course has to defend from Travis, and I think Travis really wants to make his move now. Can't afford to waste any time. It's not quite close enough yet. Oh, passing Navarro, he's moving out of the way nicely here.
Very sensible from Ivan. A lead gap 8.5 seconds at the last timing split, so Jesper's gotten on a little bit.
Oh, Hamlet doesn't quite get the apex here. Maybe Travis has a chance on the late braking. Oh, Hamlet!
He's run wide, he's spun.
Oh, he spun. Now he has to really watch out if he can re-enter the track safely, or there's just no one coming.
Safely, but Glavak and Yunt are going to be steaming up to the back of him.
Yeah, and Yunt is doing such a strong stint.
Yeah, he's called Glavak from pretty much out of nowhere. And obviously there's the ever-threatening William Levesque not far behind them, and even, not far behind them is Rob Taplin, so 9 could all close it up. As I think Tolborg is picked up the pace a little bit, the gap's only coming down, as opposed to 1.2 seconds per lap, it's only coming down a tenth per sector at the moment.
David Jones, 7th place, really close to Janko Glavak in the 6th place.
I think them two battling could help Hamnet a lot, because obviously if you're battling you're going slower.
Probably it
It'll
helps
also help
Hamlet
Vivek.
a lot until the point when Junt is through, because Junt really seems to be on pace on this stint here.
Yep.
Still 13 laps to go, so not so much time to make a move.
Danny Asbury closing in on Ryan Walker, that's for 10th and 11th, but Jesper Tolborg will be appearing in their rearview mirror very shortly.
And also Lewis Travis in 4th place. Oscar Hardwick really can't get rid of him. It's less than a second.
8 tenths of a second, that gap, as they're coming up to the battling pair of Fran Lopez and Jolton Ockerklint.
Of course, Hardwick had a bit of trouble lapping Ockerklint early on in the race.
Glavak goes defensive into turn 1. Junt's going around the outside. That's
Oh,
a
brilliant
overtake
pass.
from David Junt.
Brilliant pass. And now the Vec is right behind Glavak as well. Junt will now try to get away as soon as possible. And he will hope that Glavak can hold up the Vec for a little moment. Oh, Taplin behind in 9th place, going very, very sideways.
I think Taplin's closing up a little bit. The gap when I last looked was 4 seconds. It's down to 3.8 between Levesque and Taplin, so Taplin's on his way to join that battle. Asbury's still closing in on Walker. That's for 10th and 11th. 1.6 seconds in that gap. But Levesque right on Glavak as they're coming into the final chicane.
It's pretty hard to make a move here, but maybe you can position this car so you can make a move into turn 1. Glavak taking a nice line here. Meanwhile ahead, Hardwick is now caught up to Ockerklint. He will lap on this lap, if everything goes right. Lopez ahead of them, goes off the track. And now Hardwick's really close. And of course Ockerklint is also in the battle now, so it's a difficult...
Ran the outside again into turn 1. Very good move by Levesque, trying to replicate what David Junt has done, but Levesque very sideways. Can Levesque have a go back again? No, he can't. I think Levesque's got that one. But as you were saying...
Hardwick. Hardwick in third.
Yep, Ockerklint's going to let them play, hopefully.
Travis as well now on the outside.
Yep, there we go. Oh, Fran's let Oscar through. Oscar's gone deep.
Lopez has seen him though. That was very good from all of the drivers. That was really sensible, and Lopez has done the right thing to go on the inside there. And now Travis is so close to Hardwick. And this is for a podium position.
6.7 seconds the lead that Jesper has. But it's only 3 tenths between Hardwick and Travis, so we'll have to see what happens between these guys first.
And Travis hasn't been making any mistakes so far in this race. We've seen Hardwick running a little bit deep sometimes, we've seen Hamlet making a few mistakes. But from Travis, it was just so clean so far. It really looks strong. He has a run on this long straight, but it's so difficult to make a move here, of course.
You were saying about Hamlet, he's kind of been pulling away a little bit from David Junt, who's pulling away from Levesque, who's pulling away from Glavak. So I think they're starting to spread out a little bit behind for 5th to 9th.
Yeah.
But
Travis
is really aggressive, trying to go for any move.
This cost him a lot of time.
Yep.
Maybe that's all Hardwick needed. Now he can get away and just focus on himself for a few laps.
Yeah, he will have broken the draft at that distance.
Of course, the draft effect is pretty low in these cars, but it's still noticeable when you're going so close.
And with so much of it as well, because this track has, for what it is, it has effectively 3 or 4 straights where you can use the draft to set up an overtake. But yeah, I think Hardwick has broken the draft. Home now within 6 seconds of Tolborg, and there is, at the end of this lap, there's 8 laps to go. For Jesper Tolborg, he just needs to hold on. And then Jesper Tolborg will take his 4th win of the season.
I think it's only his third win.
Of the season. it will be his third win of the season. If I'm mistaken, it will be the car's fourth win. Because Eric Strani has obviously won in that car 3 times previously. But there's 5 seconds of gap that Holm has to make up to stop that from happening.
Meanwhile, Ockerklin is still really, really close to Fran Lopez for 13th place. They're both in the points, so this is a good battle.
Yeah, and they're not all that far ahead of Ivan Navarro, so it's entirely feasible that Navarro could catch up if he doesn't make a mistake. But barring that, then I don't think Ivan will catch up. Ooh, the lead dipped under 5 seconds, potentially a mistake there from Jesper Tolborg. It was 4.8 seconds near enough. Now it's down to 4.3 at the end of the second sector, so Jesper's tyres look like they've really gone, or his brakes, which are flashing again, become much more effective. Further back, Ockerklint has been on the attack of Fran Lopez. Made a little bit of contact, but Lopez stays ahead. But
Navarro is catching up.
Navarro will now see what he's racing after. But yeah, the Taplin's closing on Glavac, but I don't think it's fast enough.
I think for the lead now it gets really interesting.
4 seconds.
Because it's 7 laps to go, it's 4 seconds. All definitely has the faster cars at this stage. I'm not sure what Tolborg can do. This will be really close. This could be going down to the last lap.
It looks like they're going to be unimpeded.
And you know, remember in Ruapuna, these 2 drivers, they were battling for the win on the last lap as well, and Tolborg beat Holm. And Holm was on the strategy with less pit stops in that race. Now it's the other way around. Both of them are in different teams for this race, but still the same drivers, of course. And yeah, you can see it. Holm's definitely coming closer. So it won't be long until he can attack Jesper Tolborg, yeah. Everything else seems pretty settled at the moment.
Yeah, except for 13th place, that seems a bit up in the air still. Ockerklint's going to get a little bit of draft and he's going to look for an overtake.
I'm not entirely sure, but I think they are both on a 1-stop strategy, right?
They are both the 1-stop, but Ivan Navarro on a 2-stop strategy is catching them. And behind Navarro, it's actually Oscar Hardwick. No, it's Harley Hamlin, my mistake. Who's trying to keep David Junt at bay and is doing a good job of keeping that gap consistent. Taplin closing in very quick and Glavac. Actually, he may catch him in the next couple of laps at this rate. Taplin's teammate Travis, he's not really catching Hardwick, and if anything, Hardwick's pulling away by a 10th or so every couple of sectors. But the gap for the lead, under 2.5 seconds as Tolborg slides his way around turn 8.
And Holm can see Tolborg now the whole time, and he knows how much he's gaining, and that feels great. But also, of course, he can't allow to make a single mistake, because then all the hard work
for nothing.
Yeah, and of course he has to find the right spot to pass Jesper, because at this stage and the way he's gaining right now, it's pretty clear that he will catch up to Tolborg before the end of the race. But then, of course, he can't waste so much time trying to find the perfect spot and making a few attempts that go wrong, because then he will lose the gap again, and he can't do it. So it's still really difficult for Adrian Holm, even though he's the fastest car.
He can get his way past Rui Martins.
Oh, Bradley Vanian has stopped on track, by the way.
Martins out of the way.
And Navarro has now completely joined the battle.
Yeah, and he's passing Lopez, but just behind that, them, a little way back actually, for 8th and 9th, Taplin and...
Hamnet, he's lapping them at the moment, flashing his lights.
Past Lopez.
Oh, Navarro. There in the points, Navarro on the outside. Ockerklint behind. It's a bit of a bad situation for Hamnet, because
a couple of 3-way battles going on inside each other. Junt's
on
the tail of Hamnet.
Of course, Hamnet doesn't want to lose any time, but these guys are also battling for position. They
are there too.
Levesque's catching up to Hamnet. And I think that's Junt as well, right behind.
Junt's right on the back of Hamnet right now, and Levesque's closing in. Glavac's got his mirrors full of Taplin, and
Junt.
1.1 second, the lead 1.1 seconds. Holm's getting very, very close.
Oh, Navarro's went wide in the... Oh, Hamnet going through, Junt going through. Where's Levesque?
Oh,
Levesque's passing Lopez. And Junt is so close to Hamnet now. We go back to the lead battle pretty soon, but this is so exciting.
7/10. Holmes closing in, but...
Oh, Hamlet had a pretty bad run out of the corner. Junt has the opportunity now on the start-finish straight.
Levesque's past Navarro, through goes Lopez. Lopez and Navarro for position. Levesque's lapping him.
Can Junt do it?
Onto the back of Junt.
Oh, he's so close. He goes to the inside. He has to make it sick here. Oh, Hamlet moving a bit on the brake. Junt sideways. Oh, and the gravel.
Both gone off.
Where's Hamlet? Still behind him. Hamlet goes back past. And this helps Levesque. This helps Levesque so much.
Right on the rear bumper of Jesper Tolborg. Sorry to interrupt. That battle was epic, but this is for the lead.
Glavak and Teplin have taken each other out of behind. Still going. For the race win.
Jesper's going defensive. Holmes going around the outside.
On the outside, but he should have more grip.
Later.
Oh, it's close. Jesper sideways. Holmes through.
That's it. I think that's Adrian Holmes' race.
Let's see if Jesper wants to have a shot at the race when he has to make his move really soon. Otherwise, he's just running out of opportunities.
I don't think Jesper's got the tires.
You can see already.
It's going to be down to whether Holmes makes a mistake or not.
Alright, back to the battle behind. Levesque into the back of Junt. No! Levesque has hit him here. And that's a shame for him because now he loses touch hardly-handed.
Levesque and Taplin are going to close in on Levesque now.
Yeah, these two had contact just a few laps before. And of course the race is over pretty soon. On lap 62.
This isn't over yet. Navarro is going to lock up and go deep. These are the two battles within each other.
What a great finish to this race.
May have earned 13th by just staying out of trouble.
Teplin behind Glavak. Oh, for 7th place.
Fran Lopez gives Levesque a bit of a nudge. Junt's past Navarro.
So at the front of the field, Holmes now leading.
Away.
From Torvald. Then Hardwick, and Hardwick's also clear of Travis, who did a really good race, but it's not enough to catch Hardwick here. First place, Hamlet. He's got a bit of air behind him, then Junt.
Traffic. That's Clint and Vanyan in front of him. Vanyan going a lap down to everyone. Clint trying to stay in 13th as best he can.
Closest battle for 8th place, Taplin and Glavak.
Yep. Well, Levesque almost steamrolled the back of Navarro into that break.
Oh.
Enough. Fran Lopez just ahead.
You can see the tires going off from all these guys.
Oh, just having a quick flick through. At some point we've lost Tim Stroud. That's actually quite a while ago that we've missed. So we're down to 18.
Taplin flying around the outside to pass Glavak. They're both past the front Lopez now with a lap down. And
starting the last
Adrian.
lap. But Taplin and Glavak, these guys, Holmes so far ahead of these guys that these guys almost have 2 full laps to complete. So that battle is by no means over, but battle for the lead seems to be as Holm now has 3 seconds of gap to Jesper Tolborg. Oh, Taplin on the inside, he's passing Glavak. That's move that's going to stick, I believe.
Yep. He's through into 8th position, and Glavak needs a perfect final chicane here to have a run on the start-finish straight. Looks pretty good, to be honest. Oh, Lopez in the background. What is he doing? He's still in the points, he can't afford to throw it away at this stage.
Yeah.
He's on the final point.
I think they're a lap ahead of Brandy Vanyan, who's the guy who's next. It's Holm into the final.
Holm in the final corner. And he's coming on the start-finish. He's coming onto the start-finish straight now, sideways. And he's won the race. Adrian Holm, the Swedish driver for the Sharkskins factory team.
Ooh, Tolborg
great
almost
win.
lost out of the final corner. I thought he'd run out of fuel for a second there when he was really slow on the inside.
2nd place Torvald.
Yep.
Impressive race from him on a one-stop strategy. Then Hardwick in 3rd place. Travis is not quite close enough.
I think that certainly the top 5 will stay the same unless Hamnet makes a mistake. Oh, Levesque! 7th, he's in the wall! Levesque in the wall on the last lap!
What happened there? Can we get a replay of this?
He just lost the rear end going down through that corner. He's down to 9th already, but he's going to get going before Ryan Walker gets there, so that's a position up for Taplin and Glavak as they're still battling into the final turn. Bradley Vanyan's going to be acting as a bottleneck, but Taplin's going to hold Glavak off. Hamlet finishes 5th, Junt 6th. in 7th, Glavak 8th, Levesque down to 9th after going off on the last lap, and Ryan Walker rounds out the people who finished on the lead lap, and behind him was Danny Asbury, who got lapped right at the end there. Danny wouldn't be liking that. Kevin Siggy, 12th place, very well done for him. Arthur Clint finishes up 13th, ahead of Ivan Navarro, who's very, very happy, actually getting back into positive points for Shark Skins. Fran Lopez is very happy, you could tell, in 15th. He's got that experience home. I believe they're still going to be under in the points, but Fran's going to be getting a couple more. Bradley Vanian finishes in 16th, just outside the points. Roy Magnus finishes 17th, and Rue Martins rounds out the finishers. Only 18 finishers of this race. That was how high the attrition rate was.
With 31 starters, that's actually not so many finishers. But still, we had a lot of action in this race, and it all was so close towards the end of the race, with these two battles, one on the lead lap, one up down. They were just, on the same piece of track, and it was really exciting. That was a great race.
It's like a battle within a battle at some stages, but we're going to hopefully try and round up some drivers for interviews as soon as possible. But until then, I wonder if we could play the trailer.
Here we are again, after a great race at Sandown. Mike, what did you think of this race?
I thought that was a very exciting race, especially towards the end. And kind of the same as the previous races. It was a little bit, uninteresting in the middle for most of the grid. I mean, Fran Lopez and Josh Knockland provided us with the entertainment through that section of the race, but especially come down to the end, not only the battle for the lead, but the battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and for 13th, 14th, 15th, when they were all overlapping each other. That was incredible.
So now we should have some interviews with the drivers. And the first one here is Adrian Holm, the race winner. So Adrian, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Congratulations, what a race from you. Did you think you could win it at the end on your strategy?
Yeah, thank you, first of all. Yeah, I think I could have won that. Obviously, I thought that Jesper was on a two-stopper as well, so I just tried to stay out, and when he pitted, I would go in this lap afterwards, because it's around this track is generally a bit quicker, because it's such a short lap. So the first lap with cold tires is really hard to pull off. But then I realized that, or I had a feeling that he might not do a two-stopper, so then I had to just pit and just go flat out from then on to try and catch him at the end, and worked out great.
So, how was the battle with Jesper? It seems like, of course, you had the better tires at this stage, but did he try to make it hard for you?
He tried to defend into the first corner, but he didn't really have anything to say, because it was like a 2-second difference in tire condition at that point. So, yeah, I knew I was going to get him eventually, even if he would have been able to pull that defense off in turn 1.
Alright, congratulations Adrian. Hopefully we'll see you again in this season.
Thank you.
And I think Mike has got Oscar Hartwig now.
I do indeed. Oscar, congratulations, and very well done on getting a podium for Small Power.
Don't ask me how I did it. No idea.
I know you you were saying before the race that you were very unhappy with your pace, but you seem to have picked it up throughout the race.
Yeah, I
So,
think probably in terms of the qualifying, that last little run I did, I had 3 personal bests out of four laps that I did in my last run. So, I mean, qualifying 4th was about 5-6 positions higher than I expected with my previous pace, and even with the closeness of the grid, it came across the same way. So that was stunning. The start was great as well to get up to 3rd and stick with these guys for a bit. Obviously, Adrian and Jesper, whether it be past experience, set at work, I mean, they've put in the effort. They deserve that one today. They were both just separate class, but it was good to be the best of the rest and enjoy that. Hats off to Lewis, Travis, and the other guys I was driving around as well. A couple of back marker issues, but it's a narrow track and you come to expect it.
Yeah, we saw that you were battling with Travis a lot of the time. Were you ever under any pressure that you thought he was going to pass you and take that 3rd place?
There was one point going into the first chicane where he got literally 3 or 4 inches of his nose alongside, and I just thought, go for the apex, and it did tap me sideways, but it was that sort of decisive move where I thought, I've just got to get the apex at this point, and it didn't matter. So I made the moves when I had to, and I know that Lewis gave it his all as well and had equal issues with traffic that I did, so it was fantastic fun and a pleasure to have actually got a podium at last.
Well, nice work, and from a team manager's perspective, very well done on getting a podium.
Thank you.
I believe Rob has Lewis Travis for the
Yeah,
next round.
Lewis.
Alright, yeah.
Lu-
How's it going?
What a race from you, Lewis.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, yeah.
So you
Well,
had
I
so
mean-
much.
Go on.
You had so much bad luck in the first rounds of this championship, and also a few incidents. And how does it feel to finish the race so high?
I think it's
in
because
fourth
Monroe
place.
wasn't racing, so I didn't have no trouble with him, did I? No, but I mean, like Oscar said, great race towards the end. I had a trouble with some back markers, and I made a few mistakes, but towards the end, I mean, Oscar deserved it because my tyres were absolutely gone. So I enjoyed it though. Great race.
It looked like at one point that you were pitting a bit earlier to get an undercut on Oscar.
Yeah, and then I came out of the pits and somebody were battling for track position, even though I'm already a lap ahead. So I think I could have took Oscar at track position, but he'd have been right behind me anyway, so he'd have been battling me and pushing me hard anyway.
Well, anyway, well done on your first great result in this league, and hopefully quite a few more will follow.
Yeah, cheers, hope so, yeah.
And I think Mike has got Ryan Walker.
Apologies. Yep, I do. Ryan, good job on getting to the finish in 10th place. How was that race for you?
Pretty busy most of the time, to be honest. I got a good start off the line. Got up to P7, I think, or P8. I can't remember exactly, but I had a good start. I got past Danny, and he was behind me most of the first stint, so I was keeping an eye on him. But I was also pushing to try and catch the other guys in front of me and keep up. And first stint went pretty well, and then I went to make my second stop and went to drive into the pit box and overshot it by a couple of metres, which that never really helped and lost me a couple of positions. But I came out in front of Danny again and had a good battle with him for P10 and managed to hold on to P10 and finish there. So I'm quite happy with that result.
Yeah, well done on that. Did you see what was happening in front of you at all, or were you just that little bit far back that you couldn't see?
I was a little too far back to see, so I just basically said to myself, you're in the top 10, get the car to the finish, don't overdrive, and just pick up any points you can get.
Alright, well, yeah, you were the last finisher on the lead lap, so congratulations for finishing on the lead lap and the points, and hopefully we will see you at the next race.
Thank you very much.
I believe Rob now has Davidian.
Yes, David, can you hear me?
Yep.
So that was a really strong race from you, David. Decent qualifying first, and then you were looking like you would catch Harley for some parts of the race, and then in the end it didn't quite work out, but still a good finish. So how was it for you?
To be honest, I think 11th was quite an okay result for qualifying because, yeah, I have to admit, I did nothing. I spent a bit too much time with the real racing world, watching and driving with some newly acquired mods or games. And then, well, P11, that was okay. Quite liked the setup. I particularly like Sandown as well. I don't know why. Some people hate it because high chicane curb, high speed in that kink, and they could crash easily. But I think Sandown is something that I really like about this track. It is a shame that's not that often used. But the race pace, that was the strategy wasn't that great by my side. I just took the setup, but then I went nearly 30 laps, and I thought, no, I
Click the
could do
button to
one
get
stop,
started.
but then I thought, no, I'm gonna make some short two-stop thing. And still, that worked quite well because I jumped Ryan, I jumped Mr. What was it again? Dan Jasper, yeah. And then I found myself behind Taplin, and I passed him too. And in the end, I knew that Harley was a one-stop, and I thought, his tires are gonna go down. I will go and try to hunt him down. I was in the meantime, I was very surprised that I could pass William in the pits because I thought he's much faster than me. But I did it. Great, I don't know, a great stint me. And in the end, I was so close to getting Harley. I had that one look down the inside. I was nearly past, but I've locked the brakes, nearly threw it around, and I went off and I thought, that's not a good overtake. I'm gonna give the position back. And I tried again, thought I'm gonna stay close to the chicane for another lining up for the first turn. But William said he had some lag at that moment, tapped my back, and I went round. Lost 2.5 seconds, and I couldn't gain the time back to make another move on Harley. And that was it, but P6. That's the new number I'd like to myself to have. 6, like my birthday. That's a very good position that I can't be much happier. Just a bit of shame I lost 5th, but I'm really happy with 6th.
Alright, congratulations, David. I think you said it all about your race. And hopefully you can improve maybe into the top 5 even next round. Mike should have Harley Hamlet now.
Hello?
Yep, if my microphone would stay unmuted, that'd be good. Hello, Harley. Great job on that race. Believe you were the second highest finisher of all of the people doing a one-stop. How was that race for you?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Qualifying went well. Yeah, the race at the start was terrible. I nudged one of the high-speed racing drivers off, so had damage on my front splitter. Other than that, yeah, pretty smooth sailing. The one-stop was good, I guess. I was down at about 10th, and the one-stop put me up a few more places, so yeah, can't complain.
Alright, great stuff. We saw you coming towards the end of the race. You were trying to hold your 5th place, and then a threesome of battling backmarkers appeared in front of you. What was going through your head at that point?
I was thinking, David, please step back a bit. Because David, yeah, he was really catching me at the end there. My tyres were absolutely gone. And yeah, I don't know what happened to David. I think he had a mix-up and went off because he ended about 5 seconds back from me. So that gave me a bit of breathing space. Okay. Yeah, and it gave me a bit of breathing space. So yeah, I just had to hold my line and bring it home. I'm happy with 5th.
Very well done, both from a commentator's point and from a team manager's point, and hopefully we'll see this pace continue.
Thank you.
Rob now should have Ivan Navarro.
Yes, Ivan. You scored points, so
I
could imagine you're very happy. I think it's even 4 points because it's a long race. So.
All right. So that would get me back to 0, maybe.
Well, how was the race for you? We've seen you in quite a few battles at the end.
Yeah, that was really fun. I was really proud of my race. I did really consistent laps, which is what I was hoping to do. I didn't make my typical 2 or 3 blunders and lose time. I didn't do that, so I had pretty good. And I was really gaining on Jonathan and Franz in front of me. I was making up a second a lap, was 5 seconds behind and 10 laps to go, and then in the last few laps the leaders caught me and I got blue flagged and had to let them by, and then I So it's good. They had a good strategy. Their one-stop strategy worked. So fun.
All right. So, what do you expect for the next rounds of the championships? Is there any track you're looking forward to in particular?
No, I don't really think of it that way. I look at each track as its own unique challenge. I don't really like or dislike tracks, so just look forward to testing and getting ready, and how kind of race I could put together, because I'm pretty inconsistent, so it feels good when I.
Oh, well done for your points finish, and hopefully you can get a few more.
Thank you.
Mike should have Jonathan now.
Yep. Jonson, congratulations on making that one-stop work and getting some nice points for Friendly Racing. How did that race go for you?
It went quite well. Took it very easy on the start because I knew I wasn't going to be on the ultimate pace of everyone around me, so I just tried to find my group and then stay consistent on the lap times and try to conserve the tires as much as I knew I would have to.
We saw that you were pretty much constantly locked in the back with Fran Lopez all race, so I assume it was quite fun.
Overall, it was quite fun. There were a few helping hands in that battle between both of us, but it was quite good fun overall.
Alright, well, congratulations on the points, and I believe Rob now has Bradley Banyan.
Yeah, Bradley. So this was I think your first race in these cars actually, in the V8 Supercars, and you did a pretty decent job, finished the race just outside the points. So how was it for you?
I'm fairly pleased. I mean, I kept it on the track mostly. I'm a bit annoyed that I made contact with Tim on the opening lap, which sort of put me further back and meant that I had to try and overtake some of the slower drivers. But after that, I ended up on my own, did a one-stop, which seemed to work, but I wasn't really close enough to gain or lose any positions depending on my strategy. So yeah, had a few issues at the end, but generally okay.
Alright, so are you planning to do more events in this league?
I think I'm probably going to do the Townsville race in 2 weeks' time, and probably also the Mount Panorama race. So yeah.
Alright, good to hear, and hopefully you'll score some points in this season.
I'll try my best.
And Mike should have Joshua Anderson now.
Yep, I do. Josh, we saw that your race came to a bit of a premature end. Would you care to enlighten us on maybe what happened?
Yeah, it did come to a bit of an early end. I'd done my qualifying, and then lap 4, I just bend it really, just straight into the walls after turn 1, got the wheels spun up, and just into the wall, engine cut out, and bam, we race over. Which is a shame, really, because I thought it was going to go well, but hey, what can you do?
Oh, that's unfortunate. I know that you're looking for a driver for the next couple of rounds, so if you are interested, PM Josh, and you could be on the grid next time.
Yep. I can give you a nice colourful car as well, so that's a bonus.
Josh, you're going to be on the grid next round yet?
Presumably, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'll be racing Bermetric next round. Townsville, isn't it? Yeah. We did the pre-season test there, and it was alright, I guess. But, with some preparation, some work, and, well, damn good luck, I can maybe do well.
Well, hopefully you do. Speaking of next round at Townsville, that'll be in 2 weeks, and there should be the picture for that coming up on screen any second. But yeah, for Robert Wiesenmuller, I'm Mike Bell, and we'll see you next time.